Heartwarming rescue, Millionaire's incredible response to poor girl's touching plea revealed. In the small Midwestern town of Maplewood, whispers floated through the crisp fall air like leaves caught in a gust. 12-year-old Ellie Thompson clutched a tattered notebook to her chest, her heart pounding with anxiety and hope. Life had been tough. Her dad, once a dedicated factory worker, now searched for work, while her mom clocked long hours at the diner, serving coffee with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Family dinners had dwindled to hurried bites and missed moments, leaving Ellie to bear the weight of worry alone. But Ellie was no stranger to resilience. She searched for odd jobs, grabbing every opportunity with both hands. Whether it was mowing lawns, walking dogs, or helping out at the community center, she poured her energy into distractions. Yet, as she sorted donated clothes at the center, a conversation caught her attention. It was about Jason Caldwell, the millionaire who had just moved to town. People said he gave generously, but they also whispered about his aloofness, how he could never understand the struggles of folks like them. Maybe he could, Ellie thought. A spark ignited within her. She envisioned reaching out to him, sharing her family's struggles, and perhaps, just perhaps, finding a sliver of light amid their dark hours. With trembling fingers, she began to write a heartfelt letter of plea for understanding, full of hope and longing for warmth around the dinner table again. It was her vulnerability poured onto paper. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the letter tucked safely in her pocket, Ellie approached the sprawling mansion that loomed at the edge of town. Her pulse raced as she stepped up to the impressive door, knocking shyly. To her astonishment, Jason himself opened the door, his surprised expression making her heart leap. When he invited her in and read her letter, Ellie was breathless. His interest, his kindness seemed to shimmer before her. News of Ellie's meeting with the millionaire spread like wildfire. Friends whispered with excitement, their own stories of hardship bubbling to the surface as they rallied around her. Yet not everyone felt the same. Some townsfolk frowned, turning skeptical gazes toward Jason. "What does he know about our struggles?" they murmured. Meanwhile, Jason wrestled with the implications of his wealth and newfound connection to this courageous girl. He wanted to help but feared the backlash from a community that valued pride. As a town hall meeting drew near, Ellie, though frightened, felt a deep, burning resolve well up inside her. Standing before a sea of familiar faces, she found her voice. "We are all connected," she began, her voice trembling but growing steadier. Tears misted her eyes as she spoke of empathy, urging them to see beyond their differences. The room was steeped in silence, filled with hope yet heavy with doubt. Could a millionaire truly bridge the divide? Just as her words hung suspended in the air, anticipation crackled like electricity. Was there enough willingness in a town scarred by assumptions to embrace understanding? Ellie could only hope. As the townsfolk sat on the edge of their seats, the stir of change began, and the path ahead lay unclear. But both Ellie and Jason felt the tremors of transformation poised to erupt. The silence in the room felt like a weight pressing down on Ellie. Faces that had always seemed familiar now looked strangely distant. She inhaled deeply, the smell of polished wood and the faint aroma of coffee filling her lungs. Jason stood beside her, his presence both a comfort and a source of anxiety. The way he observed the crowd, intent and focused, gave her a flicker of strength. "I know it's hard to believe that someone like him could understand," Ellie continued, her heart racing, "but we all have stories. My family, we struggle. We face challenges that seem impossible at times. I believe we can find a way to heal together." A murmur rippled through the audience. "Come on, Ellie." A voice shouted from the back, a friend from school. You can't fix things on your own. Why do we need him? Ellie felt her stomach knot. Doubt filled her mind. Was she putting Jason in a spot that would only give more fuel to the naysayers? For a moment, she felt as small as she had back in the lunchroom when her lunch tray thudded to the floor. Then she spotted her mother, nodding slowly, her eyes glimmering with something like pride. Ellie swallowed hard, her passion igniting again. We might think wealth is the answer, she said, her voice rising, but it's understanding that truly matters. It's kindness, community, and collaboration that can weave hope back into our lives. The air shifted. Jason leaned forward, his brow furrowing as if a revelation were about to stir within him. He might not have lived the lives they had, but Ellie could see a flicker of comprehension spark in his eyes. Maybe he understood that real wealth wasn't just about money, it was about connection. As Ellie spoke, she could feel the warmth growing in the room. Those frozen expressions were thawing. She could hear others echo her sentiments softly, a ripple of agreement swirling through the crowd. Still, the shadows of doubt lingered over the townsfolk. The skepticism that hung in the room seemed to crystallize as one elder finally stood, arms crossed defiantly. You think he can just come in here and save us? We've worked hard for everything we have. You think that a millionaire can relate? Ellie's heart sank. No. I don't think of him as a savior, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper but gaining strength with each word. I just want us all to see that we have a chance to support each other. We can learn from each other, too. There was a long pause, heavy with uncertainty. The elder looked around, searching for support, eyes narrowing. Suddenly, Jason stepped forward, placing a hand on Ellie's shoulder. It's true, he said, his voice deep and steady. I may have wealth, but I also have a heart. I want to understand this community. I need your stories just as much as you need help. Together, let us start something different, something that unites us, rather than divides us. Unease pulsed through the crowd, charged and electric. Ellie could barely believe the turn of events. Would this truly lead to something new, or was it another fleeting moment that would evaporate just like the morning mist? As the murmurs intensified, Jason's invitation hung in the air, mixing with Ellie's hopeful heart. What if she thought, heart racing again, this could change everything? But would they truly be ready to take that leap? Just as the tension swelled, a voice called out from the back again, "Are you all in?" The question echoed, and in that moment, Ellie felt her world shift. The tide was turning, but the real challenge was just beginning. Who would stand with her, and who would turn away? In that charged silence, everything felt poised for something monumental. What was next, she wondered, as the dawn of change beckoned just beyond the walls of long-held beliefs. The room hummed with energy, tension hanging like the heavy air before a summer storm. Ellie stood at the front, heart thumping in her chest. Are you all in? That one question had sparked a flicker of hope, but would it ignite a fire? Pockets of faces reacted differently. Some leaned forward, curiosity etched deeply into their expressions. Others remained unmoved, skepticism cast in stone. Ellie's eyes darted to Jason, who seemed caught between worlds, his face a mask of uncertainty softened by determination. Come on, guys. A younger voice broke through the crowd. It belonged to Sam, a boy from Ellie's class who often spoke about the hardships his single mom faced. If we don't take a chance, we'll be stuck like this forever. What do we have to lose? Everything, came a growl from the elder who still stood with crossed arms. Everything we've worked for. You trust him? Just like that? Jason took a breath, his presence settling into the space, firm yet gentle. I know it's hard to trust someone who looks different from you, who has lived a different life. But that's why we need to talk, he said, his eyes sincere. Every story, every struggle, it matters. And I want to learn. Ellie felt a swell of emotion. This was the moment not just for her, but for everyone in that room. Bravery surged within her, and she stepped forward again. What if we did something no one expected? What if we invited him into our world? The question lingered, and the crowd buzzed like a pot just beginning to boil. Let us start a dialogue, she continued, her voice stronger now. Invite him to our community events. Share our stories. Let us help each other. We won't just fix this alone, but with him, we might have a real partner. The elder shifted, eyes narrowed, while murmurs erupted around him. Letting a millionaire into our lives? We're not a charity case. No, Ellie insisted, but we can take advantage of the unique opportunities we all have to offer. Look around. She spread her arms, encompassing the old wooden walls and worn-out chairs that had hosted countless meetings. This place is full of potential and resilience. We can show him our strength. Just then, a woman from the sidelines rose, older than most, her face lined with the history of hard work. I lost my job last year. I thought, maybe, just maybe, getting help from someone like him could open new doors. Her voice, soft yet firm, sent ripples of acknowledgement through the crowd. The elder sighed, arms still crossed but with less conviction now. Compromise is a two-way street, he warned, his voice begrudgingly softer. You better be aware. I'm willing to learn, Jason replied, his sincerity cutting through the unease. Not just to give, but to grow. I can't promise instant solutions, but I can promise to listen. Ellie squeezed Jason's arm, feeling the weight of the moment. This was at the pivot they had all been waiting for. The tension that filled the air had shifted from uncertainty to possibility. Hope flickered in the eyes of more people now. Then, as a wave of agreement swept through, the door swung open, and in walked another figure, someone that Ellie recognized instantly. It was Lucy, the local journalist known for her sharp pen and compassionate spirit. Her presence drew immediate attention. What is going on here? She asked, curiosity blending with authority. I heard there was a proposal on the table. Ellie's heart raced at the unexpected twist. Would this help carry their message forward or complicate it? Would you be willing to document our journey? Ellie was bold enough to ask, wanting to ensure the story was captured, the challenges, the breakthroughs, every moment. Lucy's eyes sparkled with intrigue. You're ready to take a leap? Yes, Ellie declared, glancing around at the faces that had softened since the discussion began. Let us show what can happen when we come together. But as she spoke, a flicker of doubt crept in once again. Would they truly come together, or would fear tear them apart at the seams? The question lingered in her mind as shadows danced on the walls, reflecting the uncertainty of their next steps. And just like that, another challenge awaited. They had sparked something beautiful, but would it be enough to carry them through the storms to come? The room shifted, the air charged with anticipation. Ellie could feel the weight of their hopeful yet cautious stares, and it made her heart race. She had thrown a lifeline, but would anyone grasp it? Lucy's presence felt like a spotlight, illuminating their collective uncertainty. Let us hear your idea, Ellie, Lucy urged, her notebook poised, pen ready to capture the dawning moments of change. The crowd clung to their whispers, faces softening as curiosity began to blossom. Ellie cleared her throat, her voice trembling at first. What if we created community workshops? She glanced at Jason, needing his support. We could share skills, from financial literacy to cooking. In exchange, he could show us how to access resources we've never known. A ripple of agreement flowed through the circle. Sam's face lit up. Yeah. I could teach kids how to skate. Everyone needs to know about fun when life is so hard. That's perfect. Ellie smiled. The atmosphere was shifting, like clouds parting to reveal sunlight. But the elder's voice erupted through the murmur, still laced with skepticism. And what's in it for him? This isn't a one-way street. We'll be working together, Ellie replied, her passion igniting. It'll be a partnership. We'll create a community where resources are exchanged, and new skills are gained. Jason nodded, his energy pulling the room closer together. It's more than just sharing wealth, it's about understanding each other's value. You all have so much to teach. Ellie could see the elder's hardened facade beginning to crack, just a hint of softness in his expression. Word has a way of spreading, he said slowly, as if weighing his words. If we trust you, you better deliver. Nods echoed everywhere, a pact forming among them. The room began to hum with excitement, the energy palpable. Ellie felt her heart swell. This was it, people were leaning in, wanting to be part of something meaningful. Let's document it, Lucy chimed in, her gaze intense. People need to see real change, hear real stories. I want to write about what it is to come together. Do you all agree? Ellie's heart raced again as she scanned the room. She needed this to be more than just a discussion, it had to be real. I think we can do it, a voice called, and one by one, heads nodded. Suddenly, Jason cleared his throat, drawing attention to himself. Sharing our lives is a beautiful risk. I want to be here for every step. I promise to give my all. Sam's eyes glowed with eagerness. Then let us do it. Let us start right now. Cheers erupted, a tide of excitement washing over them. Ellie felt as if she were floating, poised on the brink of transformation. The heaviness that had settled within her earlier seemed to lift, replaced by resolute purpose. Okay. Ellie shouted, laughter breaking through her nerves. Let's set our first meeting for tomorrow. We'll brainstorm ideas, create a plan. As the crowd began to disperse, smiles and chatter filled the room. Ellie caught Jason's eye, and they shared a moment of triumph, a flicker of belief that things could change. Yet, buried under the joy was the question tugging at Ellie's insides. They had set in motion something incredible, but how would they navigate the brewing storms of doubt and prejudice that were sure to come? With each smile exchanged and plan formulated, Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. She knew hurdles lay ahead. What if not everyone was on board? As she stepped out from the room, the sunlight washed over her, but clouds still lingered in her heart, waiting to reveal their secrets. Tomorrow would be a new chapter, but would it be filled with light or shadows? The sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood as Ellie stepped outside. She felt a mixture of excitement and dread. Today was the day they would solidify their plans. It was thrilling to imagine the workshops coming together, but she also felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her. Would everyone show up? Would they actually commit? As she walked to the community center, Ellie's heart raced, her thoughts swirling chaotically. She hoped she could hold the group together, especially those who still hesitated. The street buzzed with life, yet everything felt surreal, as though she was a witness to her own dream unfolding. Reaching the community center, she was greeted by Jason, and his easy smile calmed some of her nerves. Ready for this? He asked, his confidence unshakable. Yeah, but I can't help wondering if we're ready, Ellie admitted, biting her lip. Just stay focused on the reason we're doing this. The community needs us. We need each other, he replied, his sincerity grounding her. Inside, the room began to fill with familiar faces. Sam was the first to arrive, skateboard in hand. I've been working on my lesson plan. He beamed, enthusiasm radiating from him like sunlight. As people trickled in, Ellie noticed some showed apprehension, while others leaned in, ready to engage. She felt a pang of worry when she noticed a few neighbors exchanging skeptical glances. What if they couldn't get past their doubts to see the potential? When everyone settled, Ellie took a deep breath and stood before the group, flanked by Jason's supportive presence. Thanks for coming. Today, we're here to brainstorm how to make our community workshops a reality. Let us start with what skills you'd like to share. Voices mingled, and ideas flowed like a river. A single mom talked about the importance of budgeting, an elderly man stepped up to teach gardening, and another woman offered a cooking class. Ellie felt her heart lift with each suggestion, excitement coursing through her veins. As the session continued, however, the earlier enthusiasm began to ebb in the face of skepticism. But what if nobody shows up? One neighbor asked, his brow furrowed in concern. What if we fail? Another murmured, doubt clouding her eyes. Ellie felt her earlier joy dimming, replaced by a sting of fear. We won't know unless we try, she replied, her voice unwavering despite the chaos in her mind. Even if we only reach a few people, it's still worth it. We have something special to offer. Are you really willing to commit to this? The elder who had previously doubted her called out, his voice a stern challenge that filled the room with silence. She met his gaze, her heart racing. I believe we can make a difference, together. Trust isn't built overnight, but I promise to give everything I can. Lucy jumped in, encouraging the crowd to share their feelings. We're all in this together. Let us find out what we're capable of. The atmosphere shifted slowly, tension melting as people began to share their own fears and dreams. Laughter erupted as Sam recounted a recent mishap with his skateboard, lightening the mood. Little by little, walls began to come down. As they wrapped up the session, Ellie felt a sense of triumph. Hope flickered in their eyes as they began to discuss next steps. But as she turned to Jason, his brows furrowed in thought, a new question arose in her mind. What if they succeeded in gathering a crowd, but the community still held its biases? The shadow of uncertainty lingered, heavy yet unshakable. Would the real challenge begin when they actually started? Would they stand united when the true test arrived? She wanted to believe in the power of change, but another part of her whispered that the hardest battles were yet to come. Tomorrow would reveal the next layer of their adventure, but what would it uncover? Would hope shine through, or would fear steal the spotlight once again? Ellie barely slept that night. The events of the day replayed in her mind like film scenes. Some faces had glowed with excitement, while others had filled her with doubt. Each thought was a bump in the road, leaving her heart racing. She peeked out her window as dawn broke, the sky painted in soft pinks and golds. The neighborhood slowly woke. The sounds of morning, a dog barking, children laughing, and the distant hum of a lawnmower filled the air. But instead of comfort, a knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach. Today would be their first opportunity to shine, but what if everything crumbled under the weight of their ambitions? Pushing herself out of bed, Ellie made breakfast something simple but nourishing. As she flipped pancakes, she mentally rehearsed for the day. Perhaps they could brainstorm ways to get people more involved. If they could ignite the spark of interest, maybe fear would take a back seat. After breakfast, she slipped into her favorite jeans and an old t-shirt, the one that said, "Believe in better." It was a quote she needed to hang on to. A visual reminder, perhaps. With a quick comb through her hair and a dash of hope, she stepped outside. The community center was a whirlwind of activity as she arrived. Tables were set up for crafting and workshops, bright banners hung outside announcing their first open day. Sam was already there, hanging streamers with an infectious eagerness. "Ellie! Look at this!" he exclaimed, pointing up triumphantly when he managed to clip a streamer in place. "That looks amazing." Ellie smiled, feeling her spirits lift at his passion. As people began to arrive, Ellie's heart raced again. Some attendees exchanged casual greetings, others looked uncertain. She spotted Lucy nervously tucking her hair behind her ear and approached her. "Hey, you good? I just hope they like the cooking demo," she replied, a tremor in her voice. "They will," Ellie assured her. "You've got this. Remember what we talked about?" Lucy nodded, yet Ellie could see the anxiety still grasping her. The moment was heavy, and Ellie wished she could lift that weight, if just for a second. "Let's take a deep breath together," Ellie suggested, and they both inhaled, then exhaled slowly. When the doors finally opened, it felt like a surge of energy. Families streamed in, their curious faces offering a mix of hope and hesitance. Ellie took a moment to soak in the scene, letting the collective heartbeat of the community wash over her. "Welcome, everyone," she called, her voice stronger than she felt. Today is all about exploring new possibilities together. Whatever it is you want to learn or share, we're here for each other. As Ellie's words hung in the air, the murmurs began to transform from anxious whispers to conversations buzzing with excitement. The warmth spread through the hall, igniting a spark of connection. Just when she felt a pulse of triumph, uncertainty returned. A familiar face in the crowd shifted uneasily, arms crossed defensively. "I don't see why we need this," he scoffed. The skepticism echoed louder than she expected, drawing eyes from every direction. The air thickened, and Ellie's heart dropped. Fear crawled back into her mind, dredging up doubts. She fought to stay calm. What if we could create a space where everyone feels heard, including the concerns? She stepped forward, trying to appeal to the man's bias. "Like what?" he replied, still guarded. Ellie glanced around the room. "Like finding common ground. We all come from different backgrounds, but we can learn from each other." To her surprise, a few others nodded in agreement. Jason stepped in as well, weaving through the crowd. "Remember when we all felt a little lost? This can help." With a spark of shared agreement, the atmosphere began to shift yet again. People started to realize their connections rather than their differences. Ellie saw Lucy sharing her demo recipe, and Sam excitedly chatting with two kids who were eager to learn skate tricks. She took a deep breath, but before long, the man's voice rose above the crowd, cutting through her moment of satisfaction once again. "But can it really make a difference? Would this gathering be enough to transform doubts into trust? Could fear be extinguished by hope?" Ellie sensed a defining moment ahead, and the answer lay in the room's energy. She'd soon discover if they could truly unlock the potential of their community or if fear would close the door for good. Ellie's heart raced as the man's skepticism hung in the air like a dark cloud. She could see the flicker of doubt in others' eyes, the fear that had almost been silenced creeping back into their minds. Unsure but determined, she pressed on. "It can make a difference," she insisted, her voice steadying. "We can create a space where everyone can speak up, where we can solve problems together." The silence lingered, and then a voice erupted from the back. "Simon, let us give it a shot." It was an older gentleman, Mr. Thompson, known for his relentless support of local causes. Ellie felt a rush of gratitude for his words. The ice began to break, chatter rising again, mingling with nervous laughter. The hesitant energy that had filled the room began to shift. Children, emboldened by their parents, wandered to the crafting tables, clutching supplies as they promised to create something inventive. Sam was in his element. He helped one little girl choose colors and patterns, a smile stretching across his face that made Ellie's heart swell. People began to relax, emotions spilling out in stories and laughter. Lucy chattered about her cooking demo, her earlier nerves transformed into excitement as she invited a curious crowd to the kitchen corner. Ellie watched as the community started weaving together, each thread of connection amplifying the warmth in the space. But then, the man Ellie had sensed would be a challenge approached her. His brow was still furrowed, but he looked less hostile now. "How do you know this will lead to anything? Isn't it just a way to waste time?" Ellie felt her stomach knot again. She took a deep breath, her mind racing for the right words. "This isn't just about today," she explained, gesturing toward the mingling groups. "It's about taking the first step, about creating something lasting. Everyone has a voice, a part to play." A murmur rippled through the crowd. People seemed to be considering her words, re-evaluating their doubts. Ellie's heart thudded with hope as she saw heads nodding in agreement. Suddenly, a friendly voice chimed in from the side. It was Anna, a soft-spoken woman who had lived in the community longer than Ellie had been alive. "I remember when we thought this building would never hold our town together," she said, her warm smile illuminating her face. "But it did. It began with just a few of us sharing ideas at the local diner. Look what we built together since then." Ellie's chest tightened with gratitude for Anna's support. The stories unfolded, as one by one, people started sharing their experiences, small victories, moments of connection. What was once a tight knot of anxiety in the room was slowly unraveling, hope threading its way into the hearts of those gathered. Even the man who had initially scuffed his disbelief revealed a begrudging smile. "Okay, maybe I see it now," he admitted, an edge of warmth breaking through his guarded demeanor. Ellie felt the weight of doubt lifting, replaced by a collective breath of optimism. She could see the barriers crumble, however slightly, under the smiles and laughter around her. Just then, a shout rang out from the kitchen where Lucy had been giving her demonstration. "Ellie! You need to see this." Ellie took a step toward the kitchen, excitement bubbling within her. As she turned, she caught a glimpse of the man still watching her. His expression was softer, more open. She felt a flicker of pride. Change was happening, even if it was small. The moment Lucy had captured their interest became a cascade of laughter, where the aroma of freshly baked cookies wafted through the air. Ellie rushed in, ready to witness the magic unfurl. But as she stepped into the light of the kitchen, she overheard something unsettling, a low voice whispering, "What if the truth is worse than we thought?" Immediately, Ellie's heart sank. What truth lay beneath the surface of their newfound connections? What could potentially unravel this moment of hope and unity? She turned to face the crowd, suddenly aware that they had barely scratched the surface of their fears. How deep did this story go? What else awaited her in the hearts of her community? As she prepared to address the crowd again, uncertainty settled over her. But this was only the beginning, wasn't it? Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that a fundamental change was on the horizon, but was she ready for what was to come? Ellie's mind buzzed as she stepped into the warmth of the kitchen, her senses heightened by the sweet smell of cookies and the bubbling energy of the crowd. She scanned the faces around her, searching for the source of that whisper. It loomed over her like a shadow, haunting her with possibilities she didn't want to face. "Lucy? What is going on?" she asked, pulling herself into the heart of the conversation. Lucy looked flustered but excited, stirring a bowl of cookie dough with a passion that radiated through the room. "Just wait until you see what I've got," Lucy said, not quite meeting Ellie's gaze. The tension in her eyes was telling. "I've started asking people to share their favorite family recipes." Ellie nodded, appreciating her friend's ingenuity but still feeling the undercurrent of uncertainty. "That's great, but Lucy hesitated, her voice dropping. "I overheard some conversations. A few people are worried about the community center's future." "They think what?" Ellie prompted, her heart racing again. "Some think the funding might be cut, or that we might lose this space altogether," Lucy admitted, her fingers trembling slightly over the bowl. Fear settled in Ellie's stomach like a stone. Somehow, amidst the laughter and creativity, the possibility of losing what they had just begun to build was right there, hovering in the corners of their minds. "How can we counter that?" Before Lucy could reply, a loud cheer erupted from outside. The door swung open, letting in a group of children, their hands smeared with paint, and a banner they had made that declared, "We love our community." Ellie couldn't help but smile. This was what mattered. She felt a wave of determination stir within her. Yet, the whisper lingered, as did the fear of losing it. As she turned her attention back to the growing crowd, her heart swelled. "Hey everyone!" she called out, and the chatter slowly dimmed into a hush. "Look at what our kids have created." The children paraded their banner, the laughter and applause bubbling up like a melody. But Ellie noticed several adults exchanging worried looks, conversations muttering low and hurried. She could feel the tension again, and it tightened around her, squeezing out the joy. "Let us keep this spirit alive," she urged, stepping forward. "But we need each other more than ever. If there's something we should know, we can't hide from the truth. We need to stand together and protect what we cherish." The man who had challenged her earlier stepped forward, his earlier smile replaced by a serious expression. "I thought things would always remain stable. We can't just rely on hope anymore." We should be ready for whatever comes next. Nods of agreement rippled through the room. But as fear tightened its grip, Ellie felt the whispers of doubt returning. She needed to rally the collective strength of the community. Together, we can face anything. Let us share these recipes, these stories. We'll show them what we can create. And if there are hurdles, we'll figure them out together. But even as she said it, deep down Ellie felt the uncertainty creeping back. Was it enough? Each face in the crowd reflected a yearning for assurance, yet behind those smiles lay the risk of disappointment. Just then, a woman stood and raised her hand. Ellie, I love what you're trying to do. But if this all crumbles, what happens to us? What are we really building here? Ellie's heart pounded. The room was quiet, each person waiting for her to respond. She had wanted to bring them together, but had she underestimated the weight of their fears? She took a breath, steadied herself, and for the first time, she acknowledged the truth, the uncertainty, the fear, the potential cracks that threatened to break the fragile unity they had begun to forge. We will find out together, she replied, looking at each person. But for now, let us focus on what we have. But as the doubt hung in the air, Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was just beginning. What would it take for them to truly come together and confront the looming threat? And what truths would they uncover along the way? In that moment, she knew one thing for sure, this was only the beginning of a much grander story. Would they rally together, or would their fears pull them apart? As the energy in the room fluctuated, Ellie braced herself for what lay ahead, knowing it would require more strength and courage than she had ever anticipated. Ellie stood at the center of the room, feeling the weight of every gaze pressing in on her, an invisible thread tying their hopes and fears to her words. She could sense the combined energy shifting, like the moment before a storm breaks. Okay, let us focus on what we can do right now, she urged, trying to inject positivity into the air thick with tension. The crowd shifted, a few conversations sparking to life. Someone called out a suggestion, then another, until a flurry of voices built a cacophony of ideas. Let us hold a bake sale, proposed a man with flour on his shirt, his face lighting up as if he'd just unearthed a hidden gem. We can showcase our recipes and raise funds. Ellie could feel a small flicker of hope ignite in her heart. That's a fantastic idea. We can invite everyone, families, local businesses, anyone who loves this place. We'll show them our spirit. The crowd erupted into a flurry of excitement, heads nodding, hands clapping. Bright smiles emerged, easing the dark clouds that had gathered moments before. As they began brainstorming together, Ellie watched Lucy's face soften, relief spreading across her features. The two women locked eyes, and in that moment, Ellie knew they were doing something bigger than just baking cookies. It was about community, about forging connections that ran deeper than fear. Let us set a date for the bake sale. We can start a sign-up sheet right here, Lucy proposed, her enthusiasm infectious. The group gathered around tables, eager to pen their ideas down and split into teams. Laughter echoed as children helped their parents brainstorm extravagant cookie flavors, and Ellie watched as people began to share personal anecdotes about family traditions tied to food. It was beautiful, a tapestry woven from cherished memories, binding them closer together. But amidst the laughter, Ellie's heart still ached with uncertainty. What if all their efforts weren't enough? The looming fear floated at the back of her mind, like a phantom ready to pounce. As the evening progressed, Ellie began to feel overwhelmed. She stepped outside for a moment, seeking a breath of fresh air. The cool night embraced her, but it did little to shake the lingering dread. She gazed at the stars sprinkled across the sky, trying to find clarity among the chaos. Suddenly, the bell at the community center's door jingled. Ellie turned to see Ms. DeLay, the elderly woman who lived in the neighborhood longer than anyone. Her frail frame yet resilient spirit seemed to draw Ellie in. You looked a little lost, dear, Ms. DeLay said softly, leaning against her trusty cane. I'm trying to keep everyone together, Ellie admitted, vulnerability threading through her words. But what if it doesn't work? What if we end up losing this place? It's okay to feel scared, Ms. DeLay replied, her voice tender. But remember what you've built so far. You've already given this community a voice, a reason to come together. That's a mighty thing. What's important is the act of coming together, regardless of the outcome. Ellie nodded, absorbing the weight of Ms. DeLay's wisdom. She felt strength ripple through her. I guess we'll just have to fight for it, won't we? Absolutely, the woman smiled, crinkling the corners of her eyes. And you have everyone behind you. Trust that. Reinvigorated, Ellie returned to the warmth of the kitchen. Laughter welcomed her back in. As they tossed around ideas for the bake sale, Ellie realized this was more than a fight to sustain their community center, it was about creating memories that would echo long after the cookies were gone. Just as Ellie felt a sense of hope solidifying, a loud crash echoed from outside. The joyful atmosphere shattered instantly, replaced by startled whispers and wide eyes. Ellie's stomach dropped. What could possibly have happened now? Let's check it out. Someone shouted, and without thought, Ellie found herself pushing through the crowd, fear igniting once more. What awaited her outside was a sharp turn in the night's events, and she braced herself for whatever reality they were about to confront. Would they pull together again, or would this be the straw that broke the fragile spirit they had fought so hard to sustain? As Ellie stepped outside, the chilly air caught her breath. Fear trickled through her, mingling with the excitement that had filled the room just moments ago. She pushed through the crowd, heart pounding, to find a small group gathered near the edge of the parking lot. What happened? She asked, anxiety lancing through her. A boy stood with his skateboard, fretting over the tangled mess of the nearby recycling bin that had toppled over, spilling its contents everywhere. I didn't mean to. He exclaimed, eyes wide with panic. I was just trying to do a trick. As the crowd moved closer, Ellie sensed the tension shift, familiar faces turning from uncertainty to understanding. A mother stepped forward, her soft voice soothing the boy. It's all right, sweetheart. Accidents happen. Let us clean it up together. At that moment, something clicked for Ellie. This wasn't just about a spill, it was a small reflection of the very challenges they had been facing: the chaos, the misunderstandings, and the willingness to come together regardless. All right, everyone. Ellie called out, her voice breaking through the hum of chatter and uncertainty. Let us help him out. It's just a little mess, and together we'll make it right. As if guided by an invisible force, people began to move. The community converged around the overturned bin, each person stepping up to help. Someone grabbed a pair of gloves, while others began picking up discarded bottles, papers, and cans, laughter pealing through the air as they bantered and joked about their clumsiness. Ellie watched in awe, seeing their connections deepen, weaving a tapestry of laughter and purpose that transcended the doubts that had threatened to pull them apart. Children giggled as they raced to gather the stray items, chatting about their favorite cookies and what they hoped to bake for the upcoming sale. Every effort brought a sense of camaraderie, yet Ellie felt a current of worry lingering beneath the surface. What if this unity was just momentary bliss? What if doubts returned? But just then, an older gentleman from earlier stepped forward, pushing his sleeves up with a determined grin. If we can come together for a small mishap, imagine what we can do for something bigger. His words hung in the air, igniting a spark of fervor among the crowd. Let us turn this into a community event. We'll invite neighbors to join us in making this place better. He clapped his hands, gathering attention. Yes. Ellie cheered, breathing in the energy. If we can tackle this mess together, we can tackle anything. We won't allow fear to unravel us. We're stronger as a family. As they rallied, laughter stimulated hope for the future. By the time they topped off the bin with their gathered items, they stood shoulder to shoulder, hands still dirty, but hearts united. In that brief moment, they had overcome something mundane but vital: apathy. Tomorrow, we show that our community means more than just a gathering space, Ellie said, glancing around. It's about trust, connection, and the chance to support each other. Then someone in the back shouted, "What about the bake sale? We can use it to help spread the word." "Yes," Ellie exclaimed, adrenaline rushing. "It's our opportunity to show off not just our yummy creations, but the heart of what we want to build, a community that thrives together." The energy surged again, excitement bubbling to the surface. The suggestions started flying: a food drive, workshops extending beyond mere skills, game nights to bolster connections. The potential was everywhere, glistening like stars against the canvas of the night sky. As the crowd began to disperse, sharing exuberant goodbyes and plans, Ellie felt a sense of triumph wash over her. They had turned a minor mishap into a rallying cry. But still, the whisper lingered in her mind. What if the conversations turned sour again? "Hey, you did great," Lucy said, bursting into Ellie's thoughts, her enthusiasm evident. "This community needs this spirit. And you were the push they needed." "Yeah, but what if it all falls apart tomorrow?" Ellie responded, the worry still swirling inside. Lucy shook her head. "That's tomorrow's worry. For now, we celebrate tonight. Besides, you've rallied them once already. You can keep doing this. Believe in what you're building together." As Ellie turned to look out at the darkening sky, she took a deep breath. Hope blossomed in her chest, pushing back the doubt. Maybe they could do this, even amidst uncertainty. Maybe they could craft a real, lasting change. Casting her eyes one last time over the far end of the lot, she spotted the boy with the skateboard, now chatting amicably with a group of kids. Once again, Ellie felt the warmth of community wrapping around her, bright and inviting, igniting a fire of possibility. Their resilience lay not in the absence of doubt, but in their willingness to embrace the messiness of life together, with laughter and open hearts. This, she thought, was merely the beginning. They would face hurdles and challenges, sure, but tonight had shown her that united, they could carve a path toward a brighter tomorrows. Overhead, the first stars twinkled brightly in the dusky blue, a promise of bright futures ahead. Now was the moment to take action. The road would be long, but it would be navigated together. And Ellie, with her heart full of hope, was ready for whatever came next. So, sit down, take a moment, and really think about this. What steps are you willing to take to foster change in your own community? Make it real. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.